Although the boys' bodies have not been found, the prosecution has said that evidence, including interviews with the West's other children, indicates the boys were killed in September of 2020, 3 months before the West reported them missing. The West are charged with second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, and other offenses and face life terms in prison if convicted.
This is the 7th day of the trial of Jacqueline and Trezell West. April 13th, 2023. They're charged with murder and other crimes in the deaths of their adopted sons, Classic and Sincere, also known as Orrin 4 and Orson 3. Their bodies have not been found. Prosecutor Eric Smith has resumed playing an interview authorities conducted with Jacqueline West on December 22nd, 2020, the day after the West reported the boys missing. Prosecutors say the boys died 3 months before being reported missing. Bakersfield Police Detective John Ryan has been in charge of the interview, more than an hour of which was played yesterday. He tells Jacqueline she's withholding information. She says she loves the boys, but it's not the same emotion as with her biological children. She said that in response to Ryan telling her that if his kids were missing, he'd be going crazy. She has shown little emotion during the interview and has been called on it. Ryan tells her he can see it in her face that she wants to tell them something. He says she's trying to save her husband from something he did. The children should be all she cares about. This is the time to tell us right now, he says. If you're going to lie for some lowlife who did something crazy to a kid, you're not going to take care of your own kids, Ryan says. He tells her her other children are in protective custody. Are you serious? Jacqueline says. Ryan keeps working on her. He says she needs to tell the truth. He says he doesn't know 100% if she had any involvement in this, but he thinks she's a good person. He's not worth you lying for, Ryan says of Trezell. Jacqueline denies lying, saying she's told them everything. You're telling us what you want us to know, Ryan said. You're not telling us everything. Ryan asks who she's protecting. Trezell? An uncle? A cousin? Somebody has those 2 babies, he says. Another officer notes she told them they cried a lot and were a lot to handle. She's asked if she gave them away. People sell babies, Ryan says. People put babies in the sex trade. He says there are all sorts of things people do. He says there are hundreds of people searching California City to find the boys. He asks if they're looking pointlessly. Ryan asks if the boys are buried in her yard or somewhere else. Nothing like that happened, Jacqueline says. She says they were alive when she saw them at the house. Officers tell her the boys weren't at the house. I can live with myself, Jacqueline says. She says she's fine. She's okay with them looking through her phone and investigating her. Ryan again tells her surveillance footage picks up her husband leaving, police showing up, but no children. He asks if she thinks that's odd. She says yes, but she doesn't have answers. Ryan points out she said if her 2 biological kids went missing, she'd be freaking out. Jacqueline said she didn't mean that she doesn't care about the other children. Everything I said is getting twisted, Jacqueline said. The video has frozen. Prosecutor Eric Smith is working to fix it. Smith said he has other witnesses in the hallway he can call while the computer is being fixed. Charles Pettus has been called to the stand. Change of plans, Eric Smith said. He called Josiah West instead. Josiah West is 27. His father is Philip West, mother Wanda West. He has 2 brothers. One of them is Trezell West. Josiah said he's the youngest brother. In January 2020, Josiah was living with his parents at a home on Potomac Avenue. He said Trezell was living in an apartment. He visited Trezell once or twice every 5 months. Josiah said he would watch the West kids. He mentioned watching just 2 of the boys. He said he was there just to babysit. Trezell would also bring children to his parents' home, Josiah said. All the kids would come, including Orrin and Orson. Josiah said he had a normal relationship with his brother. Smith is asking about the children, what they were like. Josiah is describing each of the children, their personalities. Orrin played with all of the boys. Orson was similar to his brother. They didn't speak a lot, were concerned with playing or being around the adults. They interacted with the other boys a lot. In 2020, he learned Trezell planned to move to Cal City, Josiah said. He said he wasn't aware when the move took place, but said his mother helped them move. Josiah says he believes his mother was only gone one day helping with the move. He never visited them in Cal City. He said he was busy with other things. Moving to the weekend of December 19, 2020, Josiah says CPS showed up and spoke with his parents and let them know there was a situation and it was best to remove the children from the house until it was figured out. The children had been at the home on Potomac for a couple of hours, maybe less, Josiah says. All the boys except Orrin and Orson were there. Josiah said he wasn't informed where the other 4 children were taken. He said he eventually was able to see the children again for brief interactions. Josiah said he remembers a visit by Trezell and Jacqueline West around the first week of December 2020. He said the 4 older kids would have been there. He babysat them. They made a gingerbread house. Trezell was gone about 2 hours, Josiah said. He said he didn't tell him where he was going. Josiah said he didn't see Orrin and Orson that day. Later in the month, when the other boys arrived, he also didn't see Orrin or Orson. At no point in December did he see Orrin or Orson, Josiah said. He never saw them after Trezell and Jacqueline West moved to Cal City. Smith has finished questioning Josiah. Timothy Hennessy, lead attorney for Trezell West, has begun cross-examination. Under questions from Hennessy, Josiah said his relationship with Trezell was lackluster and they didn't see eye to eye. They argued over a lot of things, including what type of dog food to buy. Josiah said he was involved with work and school once all the boys had been adopted by the West. Josiah said he was involved with work and school once all the boys had been adopted by the West. When he spoke to the FBI, he wasn't certain about the ages of the boys. Josiah had told the FBI he had seen videos on his mother's phone of all the children. Hennessy finished questioning now. Alexia Torres-Stallings, Jacqueline West's lead attorney, is conducting cross-examination. She asked if the 2 other children would be described as slow. Josiah said that's a loaded term and he wouldn't use it. But they weren't as fast at picking up things as the oldest children. Josiah said his family spent a lot of time helping them communicate. With one of the children, there was a learning process, teaching him not to get physical or violent when he didn't get what he wanted. Moving to Orrin, Josiah said he was the type to make noises, stutter, mumble, or cry to communicate what he wanted. He doesn't know if that was because of his age, something he would grow out of. Orrin was the same way, he said. On December 22, 2020, when CPS visited, Josiah was home when an officer came to interview the 4 other children. The officer made sure the adults were in other rooms when the kids were interviewed, Josiah said. The children would have been sleeping when the officer arrived. Josiah said the officer later said the Cal City home resembled a military garrison. Torres-Stallings is asking if the children ate anything before interviewed by the officer. Josiah said CPS arrived afterward with snacks. Josiah said after the children were taken, they made attempts to reach out to the children after taking classes to become foster parents, but it was to no avail. Josiah said it appeared CPS did not want his side of the family to speak openly with the children. Their interactions were limited. On December 19, 2020, when the other children were dropped off, Josiah said he gave Trezell a hug and told him he loved him, hoped things would go well in their new home. Asked if the van was running, Josiah said it was, and he didn't look inside it. Josiah has been excused. Sergeant Daniel McClive is testifying, joining through Zoom. He is with the Bakersfield Police Department. McClive has previously analyzed digital devices for the department, including cell phones and computers. McClive is going over his qualifications and training. McClive testified he would receive an item from an officer or get it from the property room to extract information from it. It's possible to get call logs, text messages, chats from different locations, location data, web history from a phone, McClive said. Sometimes it's not possible to download info. Then they'll manually review info. With a DVR system, they'll remove the device's internal storage and try to get info from it. They'll copy a hard drive's contents or connect it to an item to examine it. Certain software can look for video files on the DVR. Regarding this case, McClive examined a Samsung Galaxy phone on December 30th, 2020. He retrieved info and gave it to a detective. McClive said he also received a hard disk drive from an FBI investigator. It contained forensic copies of certain data from multiple devices. McClive is going over items received from the FBI agent and what he did with them. McClive is telling prosecutor Eric Smith the devices examined and whether information was obtained, but is not going into specifics about the information. Smith showed McClive 2 pages through the Zoom camera. They're related to a Swan DVR. Other pages have been shown to McClive. They're a portion of a report from Night Owl DVR data. Smith ended his questioning. Victor Nasser, one of Trezell West's attorneys, has begun cross-examination. Nasser is asking about the report Smith just showed McClive. Regarding the Swan DVR report, Nasser said it shows a total number of clips. He asked if McClive was aware of the location where video was captured. McClive said he wasn't. McClive said he believes he was advised the video was from Cal City, but not specifically where. Regarding the Night Owl, both DVRs have many thousands of clips. The earliest clips listed as September 10th, 2020, and the latest September 14th, 2020. Going back to the Swan DVR, the earliest clip was December 8th, 2020, and the latest clip was December 27th, 2020. Nasser asked if anyone prior to McClive's analysis had analyzed the DVRs. McClive said he doesn't know if anyone outside his office analyzed them. It's his understanding the DVRs were later returned to their owners, McClive said. Nasser ended his questioning. McClive has been excused. Charles Pettus has been called to the stand. He's the biological father of Orson West. The child's birth name was Classic Pettus. Pettus said he became aware he was Orson's father after going to court. He had taken a paternity test. He found out Orrin and Orson were reported missing when he got a call while playing a video game at a family member's house. I was real upset and scared, Pettus said. He said he called his mom, didn't really know what to do. He eventually went to Cal City with family to try to find out what happened. Pettus said he was there for about 30 minutes to an hour when Trezell and Jacqueline West were questioned by the media. Pettus testified that was his first time in Cal City. Smith asked if he went to Cal City and kidnapped the boys. Pettus said no, and he stays in Bakersfield. A lot of his family came to support him after the boys disappeared. Smith asked if anyone in his family has the name or nickname of TT. Pettus said no. Smith ended his questioning. Torres Stallings has begun cross-examination. Pettus said he believed he was the biological father of both Orrin and Orson, but it was determined he was only Orson's father. Torres Stallings is trying to pin down when law enforcement first contacted Pettus. He said it might have been a couple of weeks. Torres Stallings has asked Pettus to read something on a laptop. Pettus said he remembers what she showed him, and he said he had to call officers about the case. Neither his phone nor computer were seized, he said. Has anyone prepared you for your testimony? Torres Stallings asked. He said he has stayed to himself because the case bothers him a lot. He said he hasn't listened to the case or discussed it with family members who have heard testimony. Pettus said a relative Torres Stallings identified has not given him information about others who have testified. Torres Stallings ended her questioning. Pettus has been excused. Prosecutor Eric Smith has called Eashell Hill to the stand. She's an employee of Child Protective Services in Kern County. Hill supervises social workers who are focused on abuse or neglect. She was a social worker before her current supervisor status. Hill testified she worked in emergency response and investigated allegations of abuse or neglect. Members of the public, teachers, law enforcement would call in to report allegations, she said. Hill said she worked 4 years as an on-call social worker. She had to answer when the office was closed. She doesn't believe calls that come in are recorded. Info is entered into their child welfare system and generate a document for a referral. It lists previous investigations of the family, the current allegations. On December 21st, 2020, Hill was contacted by the California City Dispatch. The first phone call lasted about 5 minutes. She was told some names and was asked to verify if the adults were the adopted parents or not. Hill requested help from a backup social worker. Hill said she was not as proficient at looking up adopted children. It takes a lot more digging, she said. She received multiple other calls from Cal City that night, Hill said. She was in her car when she received initial calls. She wrote info on a yellow legal pad after pulling over. Hill said she wrote a report. Hill has identified the referral page. Attorney Alexia Torres-Stallings requested a brief sidebar. The sidebar lasted less than a minute. Hill is explaining the referral. I give the date and time of the incident, a summary of the allegations. This allegation was classified by Hill on December 21st, 2020 as general neglect. The referral names the family members and gives their ages. One line says there is video footage of Orrin and Orson walking down the street. Hill said she believes she got that info from law enforcement. For context, Hill said she believes law enforcement was trying to get video, not that there actually was a video of the boys walking down the street. This referral went to a different social worker, Hill said. She had no involvement in the case other than taking the initial calls. Smith ended his questioning. Alexia Torres-Stallings, lead counsel for Jacqueline West, begins cross-examination. Hill has testified 3 times on this case. Asked the first time she was contacted by law enforcement about it, Hill says she doesn't recall. Torres-Stallings gave her a report to review. According to the report, the first time Hill was contacted by law enforcement was 3 days before she was due to testify the first time. Hill said there was a meeting with county council and other county employees before she testified the first time. A number of people were present. Hill said she was directed on how to prepare herself. Did you talk about what it was you could or could not say in your testimony? Torres-Stallings asked. Hill said she was not told to say certain things or to change things during her testimony. Torres-Stallings is going over the referral. Hill confirmed she received the info from the referral from dispatch and law enforcement. CPS history entails any time they get a phone call about the family. Hill said it would list all the referrals they've received. That info would have been included in the 5-page report, she said. Officer Anthony was listed as the reporting party, Hill confirmed. He's with Cal City Police. Torres-Stallings is asking about when info held at CPS becomes permanent, if there is an ability to change details. Looking through another document, Hill said she was first contacted by someone from Cal City PD at 7:01 p.m. on December 21st, 2020. This is from a call log. She notated the amount of time each call took. Torres-Stallings asked her if she kept notes from that night. Hill said no. They shred them. There was no requirement to keep them or provide them to a supervisor. She believes she kept them about 6 months. Torres-Stallings is asking about the calls from each officer and how long they lasted. The referral form didn't include any allegations of abuse or neglect for the other 4 children, only general neglect for Orrin and Orson since they had gone missing, Hill said. Torres-Stallings is honing in on the line saying the boys were seen on video walking down the street. She asked Hill if it's true she never said the first time she testified that it was her belief officers were looking for video, not that there was video. Hill is reviewing a transcript from her testimony on January 7, 2022. She says all she was asked is where she got the information. Tori Stallings asked if she talked about the case with other social workers when it came on the news. Maybe once or twice, Hill said. Hill testified she doesn't know when they talked about it. She said she wants to say yes to seeing or reading about a press conference the DA's office held about the case. She said she doesn't recall hearing the timeline of the DA's case. She didn't have the information for her initial testimony when the DA believed the boys had died 3 months before reported missing. But Tori Stallings said she knew that by the time she testified for the second time. And it was at the time she said it was a miscommunication to say there was a video of the boys walking down the street, Tori Stallings said. Hill said she doesn't remember saying miscommunication. She said she could have written the report so it was clearer police were looking for video. Tori Stallings is giving her the transcript from the second time she testified. Hill said she doesn't know which social worker investigated the referral afterward. She agreed referrals can become part of a court proceeding. Under questioning by Tori Stallings, Hill agreed it's important the information contained in the allegation is as correct as it can be. It's what starts the investigation by CPS. Did you receive information that there were no photographs in the home? Tori Stallings asked. Yes, Hill said. She got that information from law enforcement, but didn't include it in her report. Tori Stallings asked Hill if she logged phone calls or text messages she had with 2 other CPS workers the night the boys were reported missing. Hill said no. There is no record of those calls or text messages from that night or afterward, Hill said. Hill said she hasn't had contacts privately with other social workers about the West case. Tori Stallings ended her questioning. Victor Nasser, an attorney for Trezell West, has begun cross-examination. Nasser is asking about training and qualifications for Hill's job. Up until the referral is submitted, it can be edited. Hill says she doesn't recall if she made any edits before the referral on December 21st, 2020 was submitted. Nasser is asking questions on the process of how a CPS investigation progresses. Nasser ended his questioning and Smith has begun redirect examination. Hill said the court proceedings she talked about earlier had to do with if parents should have access to their children, not criminal proceedings. Under questioning by Smith, Hill said she has to be given approval by a judge to testify because of the privacy rights of children. When she talked with county counsel, it was about getting approval to testify in this case. Hill said she doesn't remember if she read anything about press conferences held in this case. Smith showed a document showing Hill told law enforcement well over a year ago that she didn't know whether law enforcement had video, but the West thought neighbors might have video. Hill has been excused. Prosecutor Eric Smith resuming video, a portion for which was shown earlier today, of Jacqueline West being interviewed by authorities the day after the boys were reported missing. We appear to be near the end of the video. Jacqueline West and the other officers have left the interview room. Bakersfield Police Detective John Ryan, one of the officers who conducted the interview, is back on the witness stand. He said he took Jacqueline West's phone at the end of the interview. Ryan said they later interviewed Jacqueline a second time. Alexia Torres Stallings has asked for a sidebar, and the judge and the attorneys have left the room. The judge and attorneys are back. Judge Charles R. Brimmer has allowed the video to be admitted, and transcripts are being handed out to the jury. Smith is playing the video. Jacqueline West enters the room and takes a seat. An FBI agent has taken a seat. The interview is again being held at Cal City Police Department. John Ryan has entered the room twice and left. No questions have been asked. Ryan and another officer enter and the interview begins. He asks what she's thinking now that they've talked to her husband. Ryan tells her her other children are in protective custody and she's not going to see them tonight. They need to make sure they're safe. Jacqueline says that they're safe. The stuff that they told us, they're not going to lie that much about that many things, Ryan says of what her 4 other children have told authorities. He said the other children say they haven't seen Orrin and Orson for months. As with the first interview, Ryan keeps telling her to tell him the truth. Ryan tells Jacqueline her mother also says she hasn't seen Orrin and Orson in a long time. There are so many things that are not adding up, Ryan tells her. Jacqueline is telling him where the family went Saturday to get gas, pick up food, etc. Ryan tells her they're going to check all the surveillance cameras from the location she says they went to see if they were actually there. Ryan again tells her all 4 of her other children are telling authorities the exact same thing. He asks if she really believes all 4 children are going to make up a story and agree to tell it. The only thing I can think of is that they really don't like them, Jacqueline says of what the other 4 children have told authorities. The audio in this second clip is much softer than the first. Much of what is being said is difficult to hear. Prosecutor Eric Smith has turned up the audio. Ryan asks when's the last time she saw Orrin and Orson. Yesterday, she responds. She says she physically saw them. Ryan tells her there are 2 babies missing in the cold desert. He says she's not being honest. He says her other kids won't be with her this Christmas because she's not being honest about what happened. He tells her she knows the boys didn't go missing yesterday. They've been missing. He says somebody did something to the kids. They didn't walk away on their own. Ryan tells her she had a conversation with Trezell about how the other kids couldn't handle Orrin and Orson, and the only way to make the family perfect again was to get rid of them. Jacqueline West keeps saying she's telling the truth. Ryan tells her that her and her husband's stories don't match, and he says her other children, smart kids, told them another story. Ryan tells her people make mistakes, horrible mistakes. He says she can't hide it forever. Jacqueline says the police are acting so mean. You're a mom. You're supposed to love your children. You're supposed to do everything in your power to protect them, Ryan tells her. He keeps telling her her other children are saying that she and Trezell kept telling her Orrin and Orson would be coming back soon. They haven't seen them in a while. They're saying that because it's the truth, Ryan tells her. No one has seen Orrin and Orson, not her other kids or family members, Ryan says. Jacqueline says her mom saw the boys during a video chat a week ago. Her sister has seen them too, she says. No one has seen these babies since November, Ryan tells her. Jacqueline says she's frustrated. She says police aren't really listening. Ryan says they are listening, but what she says isn't backed up by evidence. Jacqueline says she doesn't have photos of the boys on her phone. She says she just got it that month. Ryan says Trezell West told them he did not shut the side gate. She did. Jacqueline West has said he did shut it. Ryan said she's a terrible liar. He keeps reiterating 2 little innocent children are missing, are no longer here. And you're okay with that? Jacqueline says she's not okay with it. Because of what she's done, Ryan says he'll do everything in his power to make sure she doesn't see her other children. He says he and other investigators know something happened to Orrin and Orson, that she's not telling them. I'm telling you, I don't know, Jacqueline says, when asked where the boys are. Ryan repeatedly tells her she's hiding something, and she says she has nothing to hide. Ryan leaves the interview room. Jacqueline continues to speak with the FBI agent and another officer present. She says she doesn't even know where to begin to tell them where to look for the boys.